Hey, you. I just wanted to tell you don't foreclose on your identity. That means don't think that who you are right now is everything that you were ever meant to be. Who you really are is where you're going and what you're becoming. And over time, you will see the fullness of yourself as long as you don't give up, as long as you don't quit, as long as you don't believe the lies of the enemy. There is more ahead of you than what is behind you. Your past does not define you, your future does.
Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. It's Zariya and I make content about being well from the inside out. And this week's realization, I'm trying to think of when I even had the thought. I am now trying to intake more of the Bible, and reading the Bible always puts me to sleep. I'm trying to just read it casually instead of just Bible studies because you need to read it. But like I said, I keep falling asleep. And so one day I had the idea, I was like, wait, people have Bible verses with soaking music. So I've been listening to the audio Bible in the mornings or while I'm working because I work from home right now. And one day I was listening and one verse you ever hear something and just be like, that's me? That's how I felt when I heard it. Isaiah 58 verse
3 hours later.
Isaiah 58, starting at verse 10. And if thou draw out thy soul to the hungry and satisfy the afflicted soul, then shall thy light rise in obscurity, and thy darkness be as the noonday. And the Lord shall guide thee continually, and satisfy thy soul in drought, and make fat thy bones, and thou shalt be like a watered garden, and like a spring of water whose waters fail not. And they that shall be of thee shall build the old waste places. Thou shalt raise up the foundations of many generations, and thou shalt be called the repairer of the breach, the restorer of paths to dwell in. I thought of myself because, or not even just myself, just our place as followers of Christ. All of our ultimate purpose is to lead people to Christ. Jesus is the healer, and so we are all leading people to healing. And I know for me specifically, that is something that I'm called to because, I make content about being well from the inside out, and that is connected to healing. And if thou draw out thy soul to the hungry and satisfy the afflicted soul, then shall thy light rise in obscurity and thy darkness be as the noonday. So it's saying if you give your soul, if you pour out to the people who need you, if you give to the people that are hungry, and you satisfy the afflicted soul, and you help them, you fulfill a need, then shall thy light rise in obscurity. Then there will be light where light was not present. Then there will be light where light was not expected. And thy darkness be as the noonday. I know in my last realization to Z, I talked about how I feel depression often, I feel overwhelmed often, I feel anxious often. And this verse says, and thy darkness be as the noonday. Noon is when the sun is the brightest. And he's saying that if you fill people's needs, your light will shine. And that light that shines will be a means to bring you out of your darkness. And I really enjoyed, this is verse 12. And they that shall be of thee shall build the old waste places. Thou shalt raise up the foundations of many generations, and thou shalt be called the repairer of the breach, the restorer of paths to dwell in. That, to me, was a statement of identity. He calls us restorers, raising up foundations of generations. That is what God says in his word about us. For the 4th of July, my dad came over, because I live with my grandparents. My dad came over, and he was on the grill. And when I came downstairs to speak, he was like, I grilled, and I was like, oh, thank you for your services, jokingly. And he was like, I'm a butler. I was put here to serve, because my last name is Butler. After hearing that verse, hearing that passage, and being like, wow, I'm really put here to restore some stuff. I'm really put here to serve and fulfill other people's needs. And then my dad said that afterwards. I was like, wow, we really are put here to help people. I was kind of just rambling, so I hope that makes sense. Basically, what I realized is my identity. I feel like I'm gonna say realizations 1,000,001 times, so I apologize in advance. But I've been realizing how much I lack identity. It's like I really don't know what God says about me. So hearing that, and then I remember I was watching a sermon and they were saying that the reason that the world is the way that it is because fathers are identity givers. I'm pretty sure it was Jerry Flowers from Redefine TV. Yeah, but he was saying that fathers are identity givers because Jesus Christ, our ultimate father, is the identity giver. And so our natural fathers are our identity givers. And because the majority of households don't have a father in the home, so many children grow up without a firm identity. They grow up without really knowing who they are. And that is how I grew up as well. I didn't even know that I lacked identity. And it's starting to show. It shows in your actions because you do stuff that you wouldn't do or don't necessarily want to do, and then you feel bad afterwards because you don't have a strong identity. I remember I was talking to some guy one time and he was like, I don't sleep around because I'm not promiscuous. And it's like, okay, yeah, if you are like, I am this, which means that I don't do this, I don't do that, and it's not a restrictive thing, it's just simply an identity thing. I am this, which means that I don't do that. And I'm just seeing how important identity is, how important knowing who you are, knowing what God says about you. Because if you know who you are, then you act accordingly. So let's summarize it. Let's bring it back. It's very important to know what God says about you, to know who it is that God created you to be. You'll do things that don't align because you don't know who you are. My challenge for you this week, pray and ask God to lead you to a verse that tells you who you are. Ask God to show you in his word, who am I? What do you say about me? How do you feel about me? I hope y'all have a blessed week, and I will see y'all next Monday. Okay, bye.